We can cut down the number of people we're hiring to do the communication. No, actually careful about that, because the communications advisor should look at that, weigh it carefully and say, you know what, let's cut that, move to this. That's what a good communications advisor does internally or externally. And so I'm here to fight for human beings doing a heavy load of this rather than some machine.
No, that's fair. And I guess maybe a question I can ask is a big picture here, right? There's going to be some business owners who are listening to this and you're like, well, I'm just not a good communicator. Like, is there still a place for bad communicators to still succeed as business leaders?
What a good question. There was the head of a car company. I mean, I'm talking Studebaker days. Studebaker, I was a young kid. And there was a guy that was the president of Studebaker, as I recall. And he went on television. He did his own commercials. And I thought, wonder why. But I saw why. Hi there, folks. Yeah, I guess you might have heard of me before. I'm the guy that runs Studebaker. And let me tell you something from my own experience. When I get in that car, okay, so he's talking like this, and I'm thinking, now in the normal world of, I think we need to kind of get a professional spokesperson in there. But it was the authenticity of him that connected with people.
Right.
People admired that it was the real person, terrible voice, cranky, looks like a cranky old guy, but it worked for him. Yeah. It was authentic. So that's something to keep in mind. Your authenticity is your greatest value. Mm-hmm. And don't be somebody you're not. Mm-hmm. Now, I've had the odd person say to me, well, people say, I should just be myself. And you're in the middle of a crisis. You have to say, that's part of the problem. You are being yourself, So we're going to have to rein that in, because some people are there, you're not a good judge actually of your own. It's hard to look at yourself objectively.
Right.
You need outside perspective. Yeah. How's that coming across to you? How's that coming across to Gen Z? You don't actually know. You need to make sure you understand it, their perspective on this. Yeah. I just tell people this. I'm going right away, boy, you are just not a listener. I often say your transmitter's on the whole time. To be a great communicator, be authentic, but have your listener on, 2 ears, one mouth, use them in proportion, as somebody once said. So, you've got to be a great listener. And some of the great leaders I have worked with, both, politically and in government and in the private sector, the really good ones are great listeners. They really are listening to you. And I think that's such an important point. And it doesn't get emphasized enough.
Well, so we got to wrap this up here, but let's kind of put a bow on all of this. And maybe I can ask you, if it boiled down to one big concept, one big skill, what would be the make or break for business owners to be able to lead in their role?
I think it's seek to understand. That famous
curiosity,
the famous prayer, seek to understand rather than I want to be understood. Okay. Wrong goal altogether. No. Seek to understand. A market changes. Do you understand that? The world has changed. Do you understand that? Customer preferences have changed. Do you understand that? How do you not? My transmitter's on the whole time. I don't need to listen to them. I just know. People tell me, wow. Okay, so right there, I would say the number one is really your goal is ongoing understanding. I mean, what I know today versus 40 years ago when we started the business are really night and day. Why? Because for a living, but my natural instinct and interests are in understanding. I remember thinking when I was 9 years old, I was watching, friends of my parents. And I remember thinking to myself, does that father really understand that he's being so obnoxious? Like, does he understand? I used to think that, never verbalize it, but I would think it like, doesn't he get that he's just so obnoxious? I remember thinking if he understood that, he would change. I don't know if that's true. I'm a very naive 9-year-old, but I remember being curious, and I'm still curious about, do people really want to understand? The really good ones do. And the world changes, and so should you. But it doesn't mean your values have to change. It doesn't mean what's profoundly important to you should change. But the way you frame it, the way you message it, the way you approach it, those will change by being a great listener.
Interesting. Yeah. Asking those questions, getting the context, getting kind of that balanced approach so that you can still have your own opinion, but at least you understand the greater context to kind of sprinkle that in or to, that makes sense. Okay, great. Well, I think we're running out of time here. Would be good to kind of know if people want to get a hold of you, if people want to kind of stay in touch and follow your story here.
Well, we have a Substack called Communicate with Power, Barry McLaughlin's Substack, Communicate with Power. We have podcasts on there with my partner, Laura Peck, and I. Also, we have our company website, tlctransformleaders.com. And coming up, looking forward to the launch of a brand new series of Communicate with Power Pocket Tips, and that is called Getting Your Message Across in an Age of Uncertainty. We look forward to launching that, and please keep that in mind. Love to hear from you, by the way. We love getting questions and happy to give you whatever our responses are to those. We'd be happy to give that effort. So thank you.
Awesome.
Thank you, Eric.